The vast chamber of the Galactic Alliance's central forum stretched endlessly upward, its crystalline walls shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in harmony with the collective consciousness of the gathered species. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center of this technological marvel, her ceremonial United Earth uniform feeling suddenly inadequate among the sea of advanced beings that surrounded her. The Primarchs of the Alliance, ancient species that had achieved spaceflight while humans were still learning to control fire, loomed above her on floating platforms. Their bodies, more energy than matter, rippled with colors beyond human perception. Below them, arranged in descending tiers of importance, sat representatives from thousands of civilizations, each more advanced than the last. And so, Chen concluded, her voice steady despite the tension in the chamber, humanity requests equal standing within the Galactic Alliance. Our achievements in the past century alone demonstrate our potential as. A sound like crystalline wind chimes interrupted her. The Primarch Eternal, Zixtel, had raised what might have been called a hand. Its form coalesced into something more solid, perhaps for the benefit of the lesser species present. Captain Chen, the being's thoughts translated directly into her mind. Your species achieved faster than light travel merely 50 years ago, and yet you stand before us requesting equality with civilizations that have shaped stars. Murmurs of amusement rippled through the chamber. Chen noticed how the younger species, those who had been uplifted by the Alliance mere millennia ago, laughed the loudest. With respect, Eternal One, Chen replied, we achieved this independently. Our understanding of quantum mechanics and dark energy manipulation was achieved through brute force experimentation. Another Primarch interrupted. Your species still relies on mechanical devices for space travel. True civilization begins when technology and biology become one. Chen's neural implant, Earth's most advanced biotechnology, suddenly felt like a child's toy. But something about the exchange nagged at her consciousness. She had spent months studying the Alliance's member species, and a pattern was emerging. Tell us, human, a third Primarch spoke, its form a cascade of geometric patterns. How do your ships navigate the quantum foam between dimensions? We use AI-assisted quantum computers to calculate. Laughter erupted again, but Chen continued studying the chamber. Every species, she noticed, used virtually identical technology for similar purposes. Their ships, their neural interfaces, their energy manipulation, all followed the same fundamental principles. Different applications, but the same underlying theories. The next hour passed in a blur of polite dismissals and thinly veiled condescension. When Chen finally returned to her ship, the UES Curiosity, her first officer, David Okafor, was waiting in the briefing room. That bad? He asked, noting her expression. Chen activated the room's privacy field. Earth's own design, not the Alliance standard. Actually, I think we just discovered something incredible. She pulled up her neural recordings of the session, highlighting various technological signatures she had observed. Look at this, she pointed to the data streams. Every species in the Alliance uses the same basic technological principles. Their quantum drives, all based on the same theories. Their neural interfaces, same foundation. Even their bioengineering follows identical paths. Okafor frowned. They're more advanced than us. Wouldn't similar principles just be the natural progression of technology? That's what I thought at first. But watch this. Chen played back her conversation with the Primarchs. Notice how they don't just dismiss our solutions. They seem genuinely confused by different approaches. It's not that they think our technology is primitive. They think it's wrong. Understanding dawned in Okafor's eyes. They're not innovating. They're following a preset path. Exactly. The Alliance doesn't develop technology. They perfect existing principles. The Primarchs discovered certain approaches eons ago, and every species that joins the Alliance adopts those same principles. They're not advancing anymore. They're just refining. Chen stood and walked to the viewport, watching the massive Alliance station rotate against the backdrop of stars. We've been thinking about this all wrong. We saw their technology and assumed they must be more advanced because it's different. But different doesn't mean better. It just means different. So what do we do with this information? Okafor asked. Chen smiled, an expression that mixed determination with a touch of defiance. We go home. We tell Earth to reject Alliance membership. And then we do something they'll never expect. Which is, we keep developing our own technology, our own solutions. Let them think we're primitive. Let them dismiss us as children playing with toys. Because while they're perfecting the same principles they've used for millennia, we'll be discovering entirely new ones. She turned back to her first officer. The Alliance has shown us their greatest weakness. They've forgotten how to think differently. And in doing so, they've given humanity the greatest gift possible. The freedom to fail, Okafor realized. Exactly. The freedom to try new approaches, to make mistakes, to discover paths they never imagined. They're so convinced their way is the only way that they'll never see us coming. Not until it's too late. As the Curiosity prepared to leave Alliance space, Chen composed her report to Earth's Security Council. The title was simple: Project Renaissance: Why Humanity's Greatest Advantage is Being Underestimated. The Alliance would continue to wash Earth with bemused condescension, never realizing that their laughter was about to spark a technological revolution unlike anything the galaxy had seen in millions of years. Because while they had achieved perfection, humanity still remembered something far more powerful: how to imagine the impossible. 5 years after Earth's rejection from the Galactic Alliance, the underground facility beneath Antarctica's Ross ice shelf hummed with activity. Dr. Maya Patel stood before a holographic display, watching as her team's latest experiment defied everything the Alliance claimed was possible. The device before her, barely larger than a coffee table, contained what the Alliance would consider an impossibility: a controlled quantum singularity that didn't follow their established laws of physics. They called it the Prometheus engine. Power output holding steady at 300% of theoretical maximum. Her assistant, Dr. Marcus Wong, reported. No signs of quantum instability. Maya allowed herself a small smile. The Alliance's quantum mechanics insisted this was impossible, that any artificial singularity required massive containment facilities and could only operate within strict parameters. But they had never considered using Earth's primitive AI systems to dynamically adjust the quantum field on a microsecond basis. Director Reynolds is here, Marcus whispered, just as the facility's heavy doors slid open. Catherine Reynolds, director of Earth's Strategic Technology Initiative, entered with her characteristic purposeful stride. Behind her walked Captain Chen, now promoted to admiral after her famous encounter with the Alliance 5 years ago. Both women had been instrumental in implementing Project Renaissance. I assume since the facility hasn't collapsed into a black hole, the test is going well. Reynolds asked, her eyes fixed on the swirling energy contained within the Prometheus engine. Better than well, Maya replied. We've achieved stable power generation at levels the Alliance considers theoretically impossible. More importantly, we've done it without using any of their principles. Chen approached the device, studying it with the same careful attention she'd once used to analyze Alliance technology. How soon until we can scale this up for ship installation? 3 months for the prototype. But that's not the best part. Maya gestured to another section of her lab, where a separate team worked on what appeared to be a simple metal sphere. We found a way to use the engine's quantum field for something else entirely. The sphere floated above its pedestal, surrounded by a barely visible distortion in the air. The Alliance believes gravity can only be manipulated through their standard graviton generators. We've discovered that gravity is just a symptom of something much more fundamental: quantum spatial compression. Reynolds raised an eyebrow. In English, Doctor, we can fold space itself, not just create artificial gravity, but actively manipulate the fabric of space-time. The implications for propulsion, defense, even communication, they're beyond anything the Alliance has imagined. Chen's expression hardened, because they stopped imagining centuries ago. They found one path that worked and never looked for others. Exactly, Maya agreed. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's advanced in a straight line. We're exploring in all directions at once. The meeting continued as Maya's team demonstrated other breakthroughs. Quantum computers that used probability itself as processing power, biological interfaces that worked with human physiology instead of trying to transcend it, energy weapons that didn't follow Alliance principles of plasma containment. But it wasn't just in Antarctica. Similar facilities around the world were making their own discoveries. In the Mariana Trench, scientists had cracked the code of zero-point energy. Under the Sahara, a team was revolutionizing matter transmission. On orbital stations disguised as primitive research platforms, engineers were developing ships that could dance through space in ways Alliance vessels never could. The Alliance observation post beyond Mars reported in this morning. Reynolds said as they concluded the tour. They're still convinced we're struggling with basic antimatter containment. Good, Chen replied. Let them think that. Every time they scan our system, they see exactly what we want them to see. A young species fumbling with technology beyond their understanding. Maya turned to the Admiral. How long can we keep this hidden? The quantum signatures from some of these discoveries won't be noticed, Chen assured her. The Alliance's sensors only look for what they expect to find. Anything else is dismissed as background noise or measurement error. Their certainty in their own superiority is our greatest ally. Reynolds nodded. Besides, we're almost ready for Phase 2. The Prometheus engines are just the beginning. Once we understand the true nature of quantum spatial manipulation. She was interrupted by an urgent signal from her neural interface. The new Earth design, not the Alliance standard. Her expression shifted from confidence to concern. What is it? Chen asked. Message from our deep cover operative in Alliance space. There's been an incident in the Carina sector, something the Alliance's perfect technology can't handle. Maya looked between the two women. Is this it? Are we ready? Chen's smile held equal parts anticipation and determination. Ready or not, the galaxy is about to discover that there's more than one path to the stars. And humanity's path. She gestured to the Prometheus engine, still humming with impossible power. It's about to change everything. As the others left her lab, Maya turned back to her work. On her screen, simulations showed the next phase of human innovation. Technologies that would make even the Prometheus engine seem primitive. The Alliance had spent millennia perfecting their answers. Humanity, she reflected, had spent those same millennia learning to ask better questions. And sometimes, the questions were more powerful than the answers could ever be. The emergency session of the Alliance High Council felt different this time. The crystalline chamber, usually alive with the subtle harmonics of thousands of neural networks in communion, was eerily silent. The Primarch's energy forms flickered with what might have been anxiety, an emotion many had thought them incapable of experiencing. In the space above the central platform, a holographic representation showed the Carina Nexus, a massive intersection of quantum space lanes that connected half the galaxy. At its heart, a growing anomaly pulsed with impossible energy readings. The containment fields are failing. First speaker Zixtel announced, its thought voice carrying none of its usual certainty. Our most advanced systems cannot maintain stability. The Nexus was vital to Alliance civilization. Thousands of worlds depended on its quantum corridors for travel and commerce. If it collapsed, billions would die in the immediate aftermath. Trillions more would face slow extinction as trade routes failed and supply lines collapsed. The anomaly defies all known physical laws, another Primarch added. It appears to be a spontaneous breakdown in the quantum fabric of space itself. Our models cannot explain it, let alone solve it. In the lower tiers, representatives from younger species shifted uncomfortably. Their civilizations, built on Alliance technology and principles, had never faced a problem their masters couldn't solve. Deep in the shadows of the chamber's uppermost gallery, Alliance intelligence agent Kira Patel, formerly Dr. Maya Patel of Earth's Strategic Technology Initiative, watched the proceedings through carefully shielded sensors. Her cover as a minor diplomatic aide from an obscure client species had held for 3 years, allowing her to monitor Alliance activities from within. But now, as she studied the data streams about the anomaly, her eyes widened. The patterns were familiar, horrifyingly familiar. "Have we considered requesting assistance from non-aligned species?" a younger representative asked, earning dismissive reactions from his peers. "The frontier worlds barely understand basic quantum mechanics," a Primarch responded. "And the isolationist humans." A ripple of what might have been dark amusement passed through the chamber. Kira's quantum-encrypted transmitter, disguised as standard Alliance biotechnology, sent a brief burst of data toward Earth. The response came less than a second later, impossible by Alliance standards, but routine with Earth's new quantum entanglement communicators. The message was brief: proceed with contact initiative. Standing, Kira made her way to the chamber's lower levels, her biomimetic camouflage shifting to match the various species she passed. As she reached the speaking floor, she allowed her disguise to fade, revealing her human features. The chamber erupted in chaos. A human infiltrator. How did they bypass our security? Primitive deception technology. Silence. Zixtel's thought voice crashed through the chamber like a physical force. The Primarch's energy form coalesced into something almost solid as it addressed Kira. "Explain your presence, human, before we decide your fate." Kira stood straight, letting them see her neural interface. Not the crude Alliance design they expected, but something far more elegant. "I am here because the Carina anomaly is not a natural phenomenon. It's the result of quantum spatial compression technology being pushed beyond its safety limits." "Impossible," a Primarch declared. "No such technology exists." "It does now," Kira replied. "Earth developed it 5 years ago. We've been monitoring similar quantum instabilities in our test facilities. We know how to contain them." The chamber fell silent again, but different this time. The Primarch's forms rippled with complex emotions as they processed her words. "You claim," Zixtel said slowly, "that your primitive species has developed technology we do not understand." "We developed it precisely because we are primitive," Kira answered. "While the Alliance perfected known principles, humanity explored unknown ones. The anomaly you're facing, it's a side effect of space itself being folded too aggressively. Your sensors can't detect it because you've never considered it possible." She gestured at the holographic display, and suddenly new data streams appeared, showing aspects of the anomaly that Alliance sensors had missed entirely. The Primarch's confusion was palpable as they realized they were seeing something their perfect technology had failed to detect. "Earth is willing to help," Kira continued. "We have containment technology designed specifically for quantum spatial anomalies. But we will do so as equals, not as primitives to be uplifted." The chamber erupted again, but Zixtel raised a hand for silence. "You infiltrated our highest council, deceived our most advanced security systems, and now claim technological superiority in a field we did not know existed." "Yes," Kira replied simply. "And if we refuse your help?" She gestured at the hologram, where the anomaly's growth rate was accelerating. "Then the nexus collapses, and half the galaxy dies. Your choice, Eternal One." The silence that followed felt like it lasted for eons. Finally, Zixtel spoke again. "It seems, children of Earth, that we have much to discuss." As the chamber buzzed with activity, Kira sent another encrypted message home. "Phase 3 initiated, bringing them to Eden Base." The response came instantly. "Understood. Prometheus engines standing by. Time to show them what primitive really means." Looking up at the hologram of the dying Nexus, Kira allowed herself a small smile. The Alliance was about to learn that true advancement didn't come from perfecting old answers, but from never stopping to ask new questions. Eden Base revealed itself like a mirage in space, its quantum camouflage peeling away layer by layer as the Alliance delegation approached. Where they had expected to find a primitive human outpost, a massive installation stretched before them, its architecture unlike anything in known space. Admiral Chen stood at the base's primary observation deck, watching the Alliance ships emerge from quantum space. Behind her, the Prometheus engine core pulsed with impossible power, its quantum singularity contained within a sphere of pure human ingenuity. "Their sensors are going crazy," Dr. Marcus Wong reported from his station. "They're detecting technology signatures that contradict everything they know about physics." "Let them look," Chen replied. "It's time they understood exactly what they've been dismissing all these years." The Alliance delegation materialized in the reception chamber, the Primarch Zixtel, two other Eternal Ones, and a collection of their most advanced scientists. Their energy forms flickered with barely contained shock as they took in their surroundings. "Impossible," one of the scientists whispered, their translator struggling to convey their disbelief. "The quantum field density in this chamber alone is 10 times what Alliance technology can achieve," Chen finished for them. "Welcome to Eden Base, where humanity has been developing what you might call impossible technology for the past 5 years." Zixtel's form coalesced into something more humanoid, perhaps an unconscious response to feeling less certain of its superiority. "You have hidden this from us. All of this. You made it easy," Chen replied. "Your certainty in your own perfection meant you never looked for alternatives. Your sensors only detect what you expect to find. We learned to work outside those expectations." She led them through the facility, past laboratories where humans worked with technologies that broke Alliance rules of physics, past shipyards where vessels of impossible design took shape, past medical bays where injuries the Alliance considered untreatable were healed through entirely new approaches. "The Carina anomaly is growing," Zixtel reminded them as they reached the central control room. "Your agent claimed you could contain it. We can do more than contain it," Dr. Wong responded, bringing up a holographic display that showed the anomaly in ways Alliance sensors couldn't detect. "We can harness it." The display shifted, showing the quantum spatial compression waves that the Alliance had never known existed. "The anomaly isn't a breakdown in spacetime," Wong explained. "It's more like a knot. Traditional Alliance technology tries to untie it using known physical laws. We're going to cut through it entirely." "Using what?" one of the Alliance scientists demanded. "Your primitive." Their words died as the main viewport showed a fleet of ships emerging from quantum camouflage. Each vessel was smaller than the smallest Alliance cruiser, but the energy readings they produced caused the Alliance delegation's sensors to overload. "Prometheus-class vessels," Chen explained, "powered by controlled quantum singularities, equipped with spatial compression drives, and crewed by humans who have never learned that what they're doing is impossible." The ships moved in formation, their quantum fields interacting in ways that made the Alliance scientists' probability models crash. As they watched, the fleet began to generate a new kind of space, one that existed somewhere between normal reality and quantum foam. "You're not just containing the anomaly," Zixtel realized. "You're reshaping space itself. Something your technology could never do," Chen agreed, "because you stopped looking for new possibilities millennia ago." The operation would take hours. Hours during which the Alliance delegation watched human technology rewrite their understanding of physics. But as the anomaly began to stabilize, alarms blared through Eden Base. "Multiple quantum ruptures detected," Wong shouted. "Something's coming through. Signatures match nothing in our database." The viewport filled with new arrivals, ships of impossible organic design, their very existence seeming to warp the space around them. They emerged by the hundreds, then thousands, their intentions clear as they opened fire on both human and Alliance vessels. "The anomaly," one of the Primarchs whispered. "It wasn't an accident. It was a door." Chen's expression hardened as she watched the alien armada pour through the stabilized rift. "Then it's time for humanity to show you what we can really do. Dr. Wong, initiate the Lazarus Protocol. And send word to Earth. Tell them to launch everything we've been holding back." As battle stations sounded throughout Eden Base, Chen turned to the Alliance delegation. Your perfect technology created this crisis. Now you get to watch as our primitive solutions save your civilization. The Prometheus fleet moved to engage the invaders, their impossible technology about to face its greatest test. And in shipyards across the solar system, humanity's greatest achievements prepared for war. The galaxy was about to learn why innovation was more powerful than perfection. The void between stars erupted with warfare unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The invaders, dubbed the Shift by human analysts, due to their reality-warping nature, poured through the stabilized Carina anomaly in endless waves. Their bioorganic ships defied known physics, moving through space like living thoughts rather than physical objects. Against them, the combined might of humanity and the Alliance fought in a desperate battle to save known space. But it was a battle that showed, with brutal clarity, the difference between perfection and innovation. Alliance ships, despite their technological superiority, found their weapons passing harmlessly through the Shift vessels. Their perfect targeting systems couldn't track an enemy that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Their impenetrable shields meant nothing against weapons that simply shifted space around them. But humanity's vessels danced through the chaos like water through stones. Prometheus Squadron, execute pattern Sigma. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the quantum static as she coordinated the defense from Eden Base. The human fleet moved in impossible ways, their spatial compression drives allowing them to rewrite the laws of physics on the fly. Dr. Wang's voice added to the tactical channel. Quantum signatures show they're using 11-dimensional space folding, adjusting Prometheus engines to compensate. The human ship's singularity cores pulsed with new energy patterns. Where Alliance weapons had failed, human technology adapted. The Prometheus fleet began matching the Shift's quantum state shifts, their weapons finding targets that technically existed in multiple realities at once. In Eden Base's command center, the Alliance delegation watched with growing astonishment as humanity's primitive technology proved more effective against the invasion than their own perfect systems. How? Zixtel demanded, its energy form flickering with emotion. How are your ships even targeting them? Because we never learned we couldn't, Chen replied, her eyes fixed on the tactical displays. Your technology tries to impose order on chaos. Ours embraces the chaos and works with it. The battle raged across multiple dimensions of spacetime. Alliance worlds watched in awe as human ships performed maneuvers their physics said were impossible. The Shift, encountering resistance they hadn't expected, began to concentrate their forces. They're adapting to our attack patterns, Wang reported. Standard tactics won't work anymore. Chen's expression hardened. Then it's time for the Lazarus Protocol. Signal Earth, tell them to launch the seeds. Across the solar system, hidden shipyards activated. From beneath Mars' polar ice caps, from Jupiter's storm clouds, from Saturn's rings, new vessels emerged. They were smaller than the Prometheus ships, but their design was even more radical. What are those? One of the Alliance scientists asked, their sensors unable to make sense of the readings. Evolution's children, Chen answered. Ships that can adapt and change like living things. Each one carries a quantum core running probability, calculations your computers would take centuries to process. The seed ships joined the battle, and the tide began to turn. Where the Shift adapted, the seeds adapted faster. Where reality warped, the human vessels warped with it. Every time the invaders changed tactics, humanity's technology evolved to counter them. The Alliance delegation watched as their understanding of warfare, of technology itself, was rewritten before their eyes. Their perfect, unchanging systems were useless against an enemy that broke their rules. But humanity's imperfect, evolving solutions were turning the tide. Hours stretched into days as the battle raged. The Shift, for the first time, began to retreat. Their reality-warping ships, faced with technology that could match and exceed their adaptability, started pulling back toward the anomaly. They're running, Wang announced, his voice tired but triumphant. The seeds are driving them back through the rift. But Chen saw something in the tactical data that made her blood run cold. They're not retreating. They're concentrating their forces. All ships, fall back. They're going to. The warning came too late. The shift fleet, in perfect synchronization, shifted into quantum states that threatened to tear reality apart. The fabric of space-time began to unravel around the anomaly. They're trying to turn the entire sector into a quantum vacuum collapse, one of the Alliance scientists realized in horror. It will destroy everything within 1,000 light years. Not if we collapse it first, Chen said quietly. She turned to Wang. Initialize the Paradise Protocol. The scientist's face went pale. Admiral, that's untested. The energy requirements alone will be met, she finished. Signal the Prometheus fleet. All ships, prepare to initiate quantum singularity cascade. The Alliance delegation erupted in protest. You can't create multiple singularities in a quantum unstable space. The mathematics work fine. Chen cut them off. If you don't assume they can't. Across the battlefield, human ships moved into a new formation. Their Prometheus engines began to pulse in harmony, each singularity reaching out to the others across quantum space. The seeds took up defensive positions, their adaptive technology preparing for one final evolution. Paradise Protocol initiated, Wang announced. Singularity cascade in 3, 2, 1. Reality bent. Then broke. Then rewrote itself. The shift fleet, caught in the cascade of collapsing and reforming space-time, found themselves facing something their reality warping technology couldn't handle. Human innovation unleashed without limits. The cascade created a new kind of space, one that followed rules humanity had written rather than discovered. When it was over, the anomaly was gone. The shift fleet had been erased from existence, and in the newly stabilized space, human and Alliance ships floated together in the silence of victory. In Eden Base's command center, Zixtel approached Chen. The Primarch's energy form had solidified almost completely, a sign of profound emotional impact among its kind. We were wrong, the ancient being said simply, about everything. Your civilization is not primitive. We are. Chen shook her head. No, we're not more advanced than you. We just never stopped learning. Never stopped asking, what if? Never assumed that perfect meant finished. As recovery operations began, Alliance scientists worked alongside human engineers, learning to see technology through new eyes. The seeds continued to evolve, each generation incorporating new discoveries. And in shipyards across human space, new vessels took shape, some following Alliance principles, others breaking them completely. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of perfect, unchanging technology was over. Humanity had shown them a new path, one where innovation never ended, where questions were more valuable than answers, and where the impossible was just another problem waiting to be solved. Evolution's children had come of age, and the stars themselves would never be the same.